Hi everyone, my name is Natalie of the Alternative Belgium History channel, and in this video I want to take you to a few of the most important Battle of the Bulge sites. I'm here near Malmédy in the eastern part of Belgium in the Ardennes, and it's here that one of the worst massacres of US Army soldiers, American soldiers, took place. 84 American prisoners of war were executed in cold blood near here, near the Bastogne crossroads in a farmer's field. It was one of the worst massacres of American soldiers, of Americans in general, during World War II, during the Battle of the Bulge. In December 1944, Germany was very close to defeat. The Allies were even getting very near to Germany. But Hitler had not admitted defeat yet. Instead, he was planning a large offensive aimed to recapture the Belgian Ardennes and to conquer the port of Antwerp. This final major offensive would later become known as the Battle of the Bulge. On December the 16th, the attack is launched and 250,000 Germans attacked the 83,000 surprised American troops. Weather forecast indicated an extended period of fog and snow that would definitely keep the American Air Force grounded and unable to support. SS Obersturmbannführer Joachim Peiper, commanding the most powerful regiment, including all the armored sections of the division, led the main invasion. Their task is to break through the American lines, race to the Meuse River at Liège, and take control over its bridges. Early on the 17th of December, Kampfgruppe Peiper was already 16 hours behind schedule because of more than expected resistance and very difficult terrain and poor quality of the roads. Around noon, they approached the Bastogne crossroads, about 2 miles southeast of the city of Malmedy, when they saw the 285th Field Artillery Observation Battalion at the crossroads. The Germans opened fire and destroyed the first and the last vehicles, and this way the American convoy could not move anymore. German fire was destroying the American column. It was really total chaos. Some drivers even turned their trucks into ditches to avoid incoming artillery and machine gun fire from Peiper's men. When the American soldiers raised their arms to surrender, they were met with heavy machine gun fire. And keep in mind that these soldiers were rear echelon troops and they were not frontline troops. They were not fighting back relentlessly and they really didn't pose any threat to Peiper's men. In the end, 113 Americans were captured. While Peiper had already moved on ahead, the 113 POWs were assembled in a field. German machine gunners then opened fire and massacred them. SS men walked among the wounded, shooting some of them in the head to make sure that they were dead. They also killed a Belgian widow who had witnessed the massacre, and they considered to kill more witnesses, but they were too eager to move on. Because of this haste, several Americans were able to escape, some even by feigning death, and they fled to safety, but 84 defenseless POWs stayed behind, dead in the field. These survivors made sure that the world knew about the Malmédy Massacre. The site of the massacre near this crossroads was held by the Germans until the 13th of January. It was only almost 1 month after the massacre, on the 14th of January, that the US Army was able to recover the frozen corpses, after of course documenting the scene of the war crime. Unfortunately, that was not the only massacre that day. A bit further south, 8 captured Americans were killed in the village of Ligneuville by Peiper's men. On the 17th, only a few Americans and 1 German tank were left in the village when Peiper's tanks arrived from the north. From the Bastogne crossroads, where they had just killed 84 POWs, the Americans in Ligneuville were outnumbered and they were captured. The SS men impatiently dismounted from their tanks and armored vehicles, and they burst into the Hotel du Moulin. Hotel owner Peter Rupp had been an active member of the anti-Nazi underground. From a kitchen window he could see the Americans being rounded up. Then he noticed a German sergeant, pistol in hand, marching 8 prisoners into the yard. The sergeant shoved one of the prisoners out of line and shot him. Roop tried to stop him by shouting, but unfortunately to no avail. 7 more shots followed at brief intervals. 14 more American prisoners were herded into the lobby of the hotel by the same SS sergeant who had just killed the others. While risking his own and his family's lives, he was able to save them by convincing a commanding officer. He secretly even fed them. He kept the Germans happy by serving them some of his finest cognac, so they would forget about the prisoners. A few days later, these Americans were moved to Germany, alive, thanks to this courageous Belgian using his wit and his finest cognac. So we're at the village here, a very small village here of Gleize, and it's here that the Americans brought the Kampfgruppe Peiper, the perpetrators of the Malmédy Massacre, to a stop. They couldn't continue anymore because all the roads passable by tanks were blocked to the west. As well, there was no way back anymore because that was blocked as well. So at night, the Kampfgruppe Peiper had to leave behind all their material, all their tanks, all their armored vehicles, and they had to return to German lines on foot. Another reason why they couldn't continue anymore was the lack of fuel. You can imagine that these Panthers or Tiger tanks use a lot of fuel, 800 liters per 100 kilometers cross country to be exact. In the evening of the 22nd of December, finally, 20 Luftwaffe planes drop resupplying containers to the trapped forces at Gleize. But unfortunately for Peiper, many of those land into American hands. Those that he did receive did not contain fuel or ammunition, but weapons, cigarettes and schnapps. And obviously these King Tigers did not run on schnapps. This Tiger 213, the largest tank used by the Germans during the Second World War, is one of the vehicles left by Peiper's 1st SS Panzer Regiment when it had to withdraw from Gleize. Peiper was forced to leave about 6 tanks behind. The Americans dueled the Tiger II with their M4 Shermans and their M10 tank destroyers during the siege of Gleize, and they managed to shoot the gun barrel in half with a fluke. When the Americans came to clean up all wreckage, the local innkeeper's wife exchanged the tank for a bottle of cognac. Thanks to her, the 69 tons giant is roughly still standing where it was left at the time. Now, there are, of course, many other sites in the Ardennes region. This is only the northern part of the battle area. I will cover some of the other sites in later videos. Please subscribe to my channel if you want to be notified of new videos, and of course, thank you for watching.